Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the VHS podcast. And today it's the last of the Elm Street movies with Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. At least I think that was what it was titled. Yeah. And I have Sparks here.
Hello.
So, we open with, we just find out his name is just John Doe because, like, he lost his memory. And I don't know if he's supposed to have been from a previous movie or whatever. He's on a plane. He's like scared, but as you pointed out, he won't fucking just close the window thing. And then the old lady next to him is just, "Don't be a pussy," before getting sucked out of the plane. It's fucking so dumb. Then he gets sucked out of the bottom of the plane, wakes up in his bed or whatever, but it's like a storm or something out of his house. Freddy just like flies by out the window doing a Wizard of Oz parody. And then uh I guess he like falls out or something and he gets hit by Freddy driving a bus and this thing hits him straight into the real world where he loses his memory. And we cut to some therapist. He's just called Doc. He knows of some dream demons, so we're getting some like at the last second we're getting this new lore that there's some fucking dream demons out there. All right, and then our guy from the plane, John, gets picked up by the cops, and he's brought over to like it's like this place for
Trouble
uh,
kids or
yeah,
trouble teens.
yeah, and they're like gone through therapy and stuff because they got issues or whatever. And Freddy, starts his shit, and this is where I realized the kid's lost his memory. Uh, the lady from the therapy place, uh, she's introduced as Maggie. She did for whatever stupid reason, based off of like a newspaper clipping that John's carrying, decides to like drive a whole town over to Springwood, where like all of this shit's been happening. But the other
Well,
kids, go
well,
ahead.
it was because she thought if she took him to Springwood, it would help him get his memory back. But I
Oh yeah,
still thought it was kind of dumb. I was like,
yeah.
wait,
It's
that's
just
not
kind of
gonna
like
work.
it's kind of like really sudden and whatever. But yeah,
Yeah, like they did it. They didn't even try anything else. They were like, "Well, you have amnesia, so come on, we're immediately not gonna let you rest. We're just gonna go out." Like,
yeah.
jeez, let him chill for a bit.
But yeah, he falls asleep on the way, and they end up like pulling over because they almost hit like this little girl or whatever. And it finds out that the other kids, our other protagonists, have stowed away in the back of the van. They've been quiet for like what we can assume is like an hour of them driving or so. So they pulled over by like a little town fair at the edge of the town. And she's, instead of just like, "All right, stick with me. You're going to stay with us while we're doing this, and then we'll all go back," she says, "Get on the phone and let them know you're okay, then drive back. Yeah, just leave us out here with no ride."
And like those kids were, I think one of them was supposed to be picked up by his dad, because he was supposed to be like done with his therapy or something. But they decided to go that they were gonna run away to go to California, and it's like you're gonna leave these kids with this van when they're planning on driving. I mean, they don't know that they're driving away.
Yeah,
But it's just like, do you really think three teenagers are gonna follow the rules and go straight back home? No. Like if I was them, like
Yeah,
yeah, I would be driving around. I'd probably be going to the mall or something. I don't know.
yeah. Um. So yeah, they try to call, but it don't work, and then they're gonna
Mhm.
go back to the van. But this like one lady at this fair is just like ready to adopt them because like they've noticed that there's no kids here. Every kid in Springwood apparently has been murdered at this point. So Freddy's been extra busy since the last movie.
Mm.
Um, so they leave. They end up just going in circles, and
Mm.
they give up. They just end up conveniently for like the fucking fourth time in this series at the Elm Street house where this all started. Uh, so one of the guys, Carlos, falls asleep, and
Mhm.
in his dream, Freddy cleans his ears and steals his hearing aid. Apparently, he just has the
Oh,
one.
so gross.
So he's wandering around like he can't hear shit for a bit. I couldn't. Uh, the quality was really bad. Uh,
Mhm.
I couldn't tell. Like it looked like he just cut his ear off, and then later it
No.
looked like he dropped the earpiece back to the guy, uh, and he had
Yeah.
just put it on the opposite ear. So I was so confused for a bit.
Yeah. No. No. No.
But
Yeah. So he. Yeah. That's what he did. He cleaned out his ears with like a really long Q-tip, and he stuck it. Like this is really gross. He stuck it all the way inside to get to where it comes out the other side of his ear, and it was so nasty. And then afterwards, he cut off Carlos's ear and took the
yeah,
hearing aid. And then when they ended up in, I don't know what it would be, like a factory, I guess, some kind of
yeah,
just an area with a lot of steam and pipes. Um, when they came there, he dropped the earpiece to Carlos, but since Carlos didn't have his right ear, he had to put it on his left ear. That's what happened.
okay. You have to give me a second because my hearing aid battery actually just died and it's glitching out.
Oh no,
So I can't
that
hear.
was
I can't hear properly.
no.
Just give me like a minute. I'm back. The battery's fixed. That was interesting timing. We're talking about hearing aids, and mine decides the battery's going to start working.
That's funny. I
Um,
mean, did that make you feel
I just
anything? Since you have a
no,
hearing aid?
no. Like it was just like, oh, here. I was more confused at the point because, like I said, I didn't see him
Mm,
take the hearing aid. What it looked like
mm,
to me is that he cut his right ear off, and
yeah.
then he's like asking for it back. I'm like, what the fuck is that going to do? Like he
No.
dropped the the right ear remains, and I thought he was
Mhm.
putting it on his lap. That's why I was so confused. Like, what the?
Oh.
This is not how it's gonna fucking work. And if it's a dream, like put the right ear back on the right ear. But it was a
No.
hearing aid.
Mhm.
This also confuses me more. Like maybe he had two
I
because it's like here's the thing: if he only had right ear hearing loss and had that there, his left ear would have been fine.
I think
So I'm assuming he had
yeah.
two, but it was just he only gave him back the one, and he gave him the
I
like.
don't know.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm gonna assume that was the case.
well,
Also, because of the fact that there was one in the dream and then there was one in the real world.
there was also, or you have to think about like hearing aids are expensive. So
Yeah.
he probably just only had one. But yeah, that is kind of confusing if
Well,
he's deaf and
even if he
or
had
hard
two,
of
he wouldn't have
hearing.
been able to put the other one back in because that one is kind of like mine, where it has an ear mold, so
Mm,
it's shaped directly to your ear. So if he gave him back the right one, it wouldn't have been able to stay in anyways.
mm.
So I'm assuming he just like knocked both of them out at one point, took them and just gave him
Yeah,
back,
I don't know.
the one for the other ear. How nice of him though. He could have been really evil and given him the right hearing aid. Because you can't put the right hearing aid in the left ear with these types. But what I was gonna say, my hearing aid that went out was the left one. So, but yeah, when he puts it in, it's like a fucking miniature face hugger from Alien, and
it
simultaneously becomes a super hearing aid. So he's hearing like fucking everything. So he starts with like dropping a pin on the ground in his pure torture, and I can get that. Like, if I've had hearing aids like glitch out and the volume just like goes to like all the way up to maximum. Everything is just super loud, and you just like immediately just grab it and yank it out. But kind of hard to do that when it's like fused to your face.
Yeah, that it kind of. I really wanted to laugh at that part when he dropped all those pins and they were making that really loud noise, because it just made me think of the metal pipe sound meme. That's all I could think of, and that's what I was expecting to hear.
Mm-hmm. So, with John and Maggie going on their thing, they find like a crazy professor or whatever, just going on about nonsense or whatever. Realize that John had been there before, and something he thinks is like he thinks he's the son of Freddy. And then we cut back to Spencer passing out from his weed, and he sees Johnny Depp fry an egg before Freddy knocks him out.
I had no idea that was Johnny Depp. I was like, why does this man look so familiar?
It was a little cameo because he was previously in like I said, it was the first or second movie. I think it was the first. Apparently there were some other cameos, but I just didn't recognize anybody.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Well, you haven't seen the movies, so.
Oh yeah, that's right. I thought you meant like just celebrity cameos in general.
Yeah. So then he gets sucked into like the TV, into a video game where it's kind of confusing. Freddy's controlling him, but he's also controlling the NPCs and kind of just switches back and forth.
Yeah, that was
really confusing.
I don't know.
It should have just been he doing his own thing, and then he's controlling all the NPCs to fight him.
Yeah,
would make more sense. Somehow John can jump into dreams like a previous character did. So he sucks Tracy in with him to fight Freddy, and I missed it, but Tracy just gets woken up somehow. And then,
yeah, because Maggie wakes her up.
Oh, sure. And then they go to escape, and on their way back, John just gets sucked out of the van because in his dream he's like falling from the sky and he pulls a parachute, and he ends up in the real world falling onto a bed of nails, and he just manages to go like, "Oh, it's not a boy," and just dies like so dramatically.
Yeah.
And before that, Freddy's like, "Oh, you thought you were my kid," and then just cuts his parachute.
Yeah.
Freddy then possesses Maggie. At least I thought. It seems like he just hits the ride in her, and I don't think they address this for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, no, like she stands there at the van, and then Freddy's spirit, I don't know, goes inside of her, and she gets this like look on her face, like, oh, whoa, like what was that? Like what did I just feel? And Tracy, the other kid or the other teen, is like yelling at her, like, come on, like, what are you doing? And it's just like, they're not gonna. Tracy's not gonna be like, hey, why are you standing so weird? Like, nobody says anything about it.
Yeah, nothing comes to this. Apparently, that's dumb. But yeah, she eventually falls asleep. She discovers that. Actually, no, she doesn't fall asleep. She goes through some stuff and she finds that she is Freddy's daughter, originally named Catherine Kruger, and I'll just be referring to her as Catherine from here on. But in a dream, like Freddy announces his plan that there's an Elm Street on every town. He's going to kill every kid on every Elm Street, but specifically Elm Streets.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't know. That's kind of weird.
Yeah.
And this is all because he was a fucked up guy his whole life, and Catherine was taken away from him after, well, he killed her mom.
Yeah. Which, like, I don't even know. It's because he was okay. Whenever, you know what? No, continue. Erase that. Don't worry about it. I'll come back to that.
Okay. Yeah. So Tracy's got her own nightmare. She gets confronted by Freddy, but she manages to wake herself up by like putting her hands over a burning stove in her dream and snaps awake. She goes to see Doc, and he's having a nightmare of his own, where Freddy lists off the ways they've tried to kill him in the past by cutting off each of his own fingers, even doing a nice little middle finger against the camera. That was good. He gets out of the dream and brings a bit of Freddy's shirt, and then he's like, "Whoa! If we can like pull him out, he can be killed." So he, without hesitations, like, "All right, Catherine, we're just gonna like send you in." She puts on some 3D glasses, enters a picture of the dream demons from earlier. Somehow this then connects to Freddy's mind because, like, well, I'll just explain in a few sentences here. She goes through some memories, like there's one of him in school, and he like kills a hamster or something.
Yeah.
Then in his teenage years, he's cutting his chest up. Then his dad tries to beat him, but he just finds it painless and amusing. Then she gets into a memory of like what was one of her previous dreams and witnesses Freddy kill her mom. They manage to get her out of the dream, and they both vanish from the dream, but Freddy's just not around. And she says something like, "Oh, I can still see things like in the dream." So she's like, "Come on, trust me." And they go down the basement or whatever, and they find him in this like storage room where they just happen to have a bunch of confiscated weapons from all the kids that are, you know, all the trouble kids. And he looks fine at first, but then just changes back. It was confusing. It looked like she smashed him on a table, and then he just like crawled out from himself or something.
I
don't know. It. I should have rewound to see what the fuck happened, but she gets his glove away from him, and he's like, "I don't need this glove," and she just conveniently is just standing next to the weapon, so she just throws like a million shuriken and a bunch of knives at him, and just like a fucking cartoon, he's just pinned against the wall. She stabs him in the gut with his glove, and then just like sticks a pipe bomb on him, and it blows him up. The three spirits just then laugh and disappear, and the movie just ends with her going, "Freddy's dead," and the credits immediately roll.
Yeah, it was kind of funny, that ending, because I don't know, the way they were just like, "Freddy's dead," and then they just laugh. It ends kind of like one of those movies where, you know, TV shows where the credits are rolling and they're like jumping in the air and it freezes and they're like, "Oh, and so goes on to do so and so." Like, that's the vibe I got. I was like, this is weird. This was not a happy movie, guys.
Yeah, and then there's a whole compilation of like every kill from the entire movie series, and then the last thing we see is just a picture of Freddy with "RIP" written over it, and then it's over. I'm like, that was so fucking cheesy, and like, my god,
so funny. It's so serious. I like that.
It was only the first movie took itself seriously. Then the second movie started getting a little weirder, and then the third movie got a little weirder, and then like the fourth and fifth ones were just. That's when they just got fucking cheesy.
I wonder if they didn't want to make more, and so they were like, "Yeah, I don't know."
From what I understand, the first movie did pretty good.
Yeah.
And then the sequel, like, didn't make as much, but it was like, they kind of took it seriously, but it was like people were like let down because it's like it was none of the same characters.
Mm.
So like they wanted somebody. So the third movie kind of redeemed that a bit. They brought back, you know, the main girl from the first movie and some
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And then the fourth movie carries on from there, and then the fifth movie carries on from that, and then this one carries on from that. But like they were
Mm.
in, you know, let worse and worse reviews, and they were doing less and less. So it was just kind of like, let's just write this and end it. And it's like this stuff and this canon of 6 movies. The only other stuff there is there was New Nightmare, which was like a separate canon. There's
Yeah.
Freddy versus Jason, which I don't know. It says I remember reading somewhere that it was canon, but I don't know how. I don't know how that works. And then there was apparently a TV show at some point,
What?
but and it was, as far as I know, let me double check so I'm not tucking my ass. Um, Elm Street TV show. 1988, 2 seasons.
Damn,
Um,
2 seasons? Oh my god.
I can't imagine it's anything but just he just kills some kids in each episode, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe over a course of a couple episodes. But it was also Robert Englund went in and played him, so he
He's
did,
devoted.
yeah. So he did the 6 main movies, 2 seasons of a TV show, New Nightmare, and Freddy versus Jason, and I'm sure he didn't. I wouldn't be surprised if he like lent the likeness to some parody or something somewhere
Mm-hmm.
for like some other TV show or whatever. I wouldn't be surprised. But anyway, I think that's about it.
I will say Spencer's death
It was
sucked.
fucking stupid.
It was the worst because he ended up just falling down the stairs into a hole. I guess it was supposed to be hell or something. But like that's lame. That was a lame death. I wanted him to get, I don't know, squished in the dream. Because in the dream he was stuck in like a 8-bit video game. I think it was supposed to be a parody of Super Mario because of the pipes.
Yeah. For copyright reasons, I can understand why like Bowser didn't just show up and step on him.
Yeah, he should have been squished by something. That was lame. Carlos definitely had it worse. Ugh, my poor dude. Free my man, Carlos. He gone.
But yeah, that's it. Um,
Eh,
thank you for coming.
Thank you for having
Um,
me.
and I'll see you next time or whatever.
Bye bye.